Hi there, welcome back to another weekly video over here where we update you on some of the interesting things that have happened in the past week and moving forward, what are some of the opportunities and things that you would like to, I would say you need to take note of, right? So without further ado, I'm gonna show you my screen, okay? But of course, if you enjoy something like this on a week-to-week basis, do feel free to, I would say, I would really appreciate if you could like this video. And of course, if you have yet to subscribe to the channel, make sure you do that so that whenever I release a new content, you'll be automatically updated as well and you will not miss any of it. Okay, so as I mentioned, we'll look into some of the things on my screen and then I'll walk you through accordingly. Okay, so first up over here, I'm not sure if you guys are aware about the commodities market, and natural gas has been hitting all-time high kind of like for the past, I would say, 2 weeks. Okay, the media did not really pick this up until recently. You start to see, mainly on UK side. Okay, and you can see over here the headlines are basically talking about how they're starting to be concerned of the natural gas pricing, okay, because that as a commodity is going to have a ripple effect into some of the supply chain. Okay, if let's say you're intermediate, you're a company that is actually reliant on natural gas to produce kind of like your products or services, then the prices of natural gas is going to definitely have a direct impact on your business, okay, and it's probably not going to be making sense for them to continue producing or be in the business if let's say natural gas prices continue to soar, right? And that's a concern because eventually it's going to ripple effect down, if everything starts to increase in prices, and then guess what, right? The retail market is going to be hit as well, okay? And of course we can kind of like contribute and say that this is basically inflation. To a certain extent that is. And what you want to then start take note of course, to me, I think that natural gas has already kind of like rallied, okay? The opportunity is probably already missed. But what you can look out for is some other commodities in the market as well, right? And for me, I'm continue to monitor gold, silver, some of the precious metal, okay, as well as copper. Okay, I think copper might be having a solid opportunity to the upside very, very soon as well. Okay, so this is one of the key events that happened last week. It's mainly in the UK for now, but I'm pretty sure if this is not controlled, eventually it will hit a global environment as well. Okay, in terms of like other countries will probably feel the heat due to natural gas prices. Okay, the other one that I thought it would be interesting to kind of like mention, okay, is about clean energy, sustainable environment. You probably hear about this term called ESG, okay, which stands for environment, social, and corporate governance, right? It's a very big and sexy word. But at the end of the day, it's really something about going green, okay, green tech, sustainable energy, and things like that. And okay, this article does talk about like how Chevron is gonna invest a little bit into the clean energy, but personally, I still feel that this space is a little bit, I feel that society and companies are probably still not ready to be very serious about it. Okay, because a transition towards clean technology, clean energy is not going to be cheap, and it's definitely going to hurt their profits, right? And as a company, unless there are stricter regulations and restrictions from government top down, there is no pressure on them to actually go towards that. Okay, because companies at the end of the day, no matter how we want to put it, profits are still pretty important. Okay, so to me, the whole thing about green tech, green technology, sustainable clean energy, the term ESG, I still feel that it's a little bit a gimmick, right? Quote unquote, is still kind of like a marketing and branding gimmick. And to me, I feel society is probably not ready to take it too seriously yet. Okay, and therefore, if you're seriously looking into like investing into this play, I wouldn't suggest you to put in too much of your portfolio into it. Okay, maybe in the future, right? Maybe for the next 3-5 years, when the government starts to enforce the direction towards clean energy, then yes, okay, you might want to then start focusing on it. But till then, okay, it's good to maybe put a little bit in, but I don't think the focus should be there yet, right? As an investor, right, purely for profits. Okay, so over here, if let's say you're keen, okay, TradingView recently launched this feature called Sparks, where you can click into it. They basically compile some of the companies related to a certain kind of like thematic, and they do have this here on environmentally friendly stocks going green. Okay, it's not I would say it's not extensive, right? But it gives you a quick start into like looking at some of the companies or building a watch list. Okay, so over here you can see if I scroll down, there are a couple of companies over here. Of course, not all of them you probably want to invest in, but this becomes a very good start to look out for if let's say you're keen in building a watch list for this thematic. Okay, I mean, some of the companies here we have been, personally I've been talking about it. For example, like GE, General Electric, I think it's something you can keep an eye on. Enphase Energy, right, ENPH, something you can keep an eye on as well. Okay, over here they put in NextEra Energy Partners, but for me I would suggest maybe you can also include like ticker symbol NEE, NextEra. Okay, right, other than that, some of these companies I've probably not really spent a lot of time, like GM, right, General Motors as well. But some of these companies I've not really looked into it in detail. Okay, but of course this is just purely like if you're keen, it's a good start, right? Okay, so that's something to take note of. Now the other event that happened last week, I think some of the very interesting. This last week has quite a bit of things that's happening, right? If you're following on China market, okay, one of the companies in the real estate, I wouldn't say even it's one of the companies, it's a big company, right? It's a big corporation in China dealing in real estate, right? Evergrande is in the brink of collapse, okay? Very, very likely, if you read some of the articles on the news about it, right, the update of it, likely they're gonna file for bankruptcy or solvency. Okay, and it's again more concern over China market, right? Of course, it's not probably going to be directly related to the recent crackdown, but again, one after another. Okay, you see a crackdown, you see the market coming down, and then right now you have a huge real estate company potentially filing for bankruptcy and collapsing. Yeah, it's just gonna create more concern for investors looking into the China market. Okay, and what I would say again, just stay out of it. I would even say that there's no reason why you want to focus in China when there's still opportunities out there. Okay, okay, so that's my personal view. Again, I'm not gonna touch it. In fact, just last 2 weeks, right? I was, together with the community, we're looking at Hang Seng Index and kind of shared with them that let's get out of it first. It doesn't look very nice, even from a technical point of view, right? And yeah, basically, I'm very happy. We got out of that, and we're just gonna leave China, of course, Hong Kong related as well aside. Okay, I'm probably not gonna touch that. Okay, so that's something to update you if you're not aware. Okay, things are really, really brewing in China. Something's definitely there. Okay, now last week we did see the equities market generally are coming down as well. Simply because I think market is really pricing in potentially a tapering soon. Next week we're gonna see. We're gonna have FOMC meeting, right? And we're gonna be paying very close attention as to whether the Fed is gonna announce, this kind of like a decisive or kind of like fixed date as to when they're gonna start tapering. Okay, is it gonna be October? Is it gonna be November? Or are they gonna push it back all the way until next year? Okay, and the second piece, of course, is how fast they're gonna do tapering. okay, that would have a direct impact into the equities market and of course the US dollar as well, okay. Later on I'll show you some of the charts to walk you through what are my analysis and my view onto that, okay. But just to keep you updated, right, equities market are basically coming down as of last week. Okay, in terms of the crypto scene, for those of you who are more active in that, I'm not sure if you're aware of Litecoin and Walmart. So sometime last week, basically Litecoin kind of rallied close to like 30% within an hour because of the news that came out, like Litecoin is partnering with Walmart. But just after that, you know, within the next 1 hour, Litecoin came crashing back down about 30%, basically wipe out entire gains that he had, right? Because then Walmart came out and say that, oh, that's not true, okay? And yeah, something that I thought, you know, if you're into the crypto market, be very, very aware that such news or such event can happen because a lot of speculations happening, right? Do take note of that, okay? And recently, of course, with cryptocurrency starting to be more and more popular among the retailers, you might start to see potential, I would say, potential scams or even money investment schemes coming out, you know. Just be very, very careful, okay? I mean, one of it that's very, very popular just recently in this year is Pi Network, Pi Coin. Now, I personally did not do a lot of research into it, but just, you know, to highlight, be very, very cautious, okay? I mean, there are a lot of all these things, right? Just that Pi Coin, Pi Network probably becomes very popular recently, okay? I'm not invested into those. For me, I just personally feel that the downside risk is so much greater than any potential upside, okay? Therefore, I'm not, you know, I would even suggest, right, don't be tempted by that kind of like quick return, fast money gain, okay? If you're someone who is serious into building your portfolio, right, your investment, do it the right way, okay? So just take note of that, yeah? Okay, and of course, recently, with some of the heavy rates coming in, right, like Katie Wood talking about crypto, Ray Dalio actually chipped in as well, okay? Now, he before that, he actually called and mentioned, right, he's not really into Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. He's more of like a gold person, right? Physical gold as a hedge. And recently he kind of like updated his view. Okay, and this is something that a lot of newer investors or traders would probably feel like, oh, how come you change your perspective? Okay, and they feel that, you know, it's wrong to change or update a view. Okay, but over here I want you to take away is it's perfectly common, okay? And in fact, any trader and investors should always be flexible, okay, and be adaptive to the market, okay? Because what has happened or what is your research that you have done maybe 2 months back versus what's happening right now may not be relevant anymore, and you probably need to update your research and your view, okay? And be very comfortable with that, okay? So to me, I feel that there's absolutely nothing wrong for Ray Dalio to change his viewpoint. In fact, this is what successful traders and investors do. Okay, they follow through, they ride along with the market. Okay, but having said that, that does not mean that you're gonna throw all in and go all in into Bitcoin just because, you know, Ray Dalio now says you know, he's invested into crypto or Bitcoin. Take this information or this kind of article or news as, you know, just as a form of research, right? Even this video that you're watching me sharing my view is just an opinion, right? It's a piece of opinion to give you slightly different insights. And at the end of the day, as a trader and investors, you need to make that decision on whether to buy, whether to sell, whether to invest, or whether to trade by yourself, okay? That's very, very important. Okay, so just want to bring this up, okay, so that hopefully, you know, you kind of like be able to take away something from this, okay? Now, with that, let's take a look at some of the market opportunities, okay? Understand that today's video is a bit lengthy because there's just so many things that's happened for the past week, okay? So, moving forward, okay, for the week ahead, you definitely want to pay very close attention to the dollar and of course the equities market in the US, because we do have FOMC, right? And everyone, basically all traders and investors, will be paying very close attention to FOMC, where the Fed, number one, is it going to be tapering, okay, very soon, or number two, number two, how fast they're going to do tapering. Is it going to be a 6 months tapering process? Is it going to be a 1 year tapering process, or is it going to be as fast as like 3 months tapering process? Okay. Now, from my personal view, understanding and looking at how Jerome Powell is more or less a dovish guy, okay, I don't think they're gonna taper. In terms of the pace of tapering, I don't think it's gonna be very fast. It's probably gonna be like at least a minimum of 6 months, or he might even do it in terms of like 1 year. Okay, and looking at how we're seeing it, probably we're not gonna see I'm not sure, right? But this is just my guess, right? We're probably not gonna see a taper in October. Okay, hard to say, but general feel. Okay, but at the end of the day, I can be wrong. The most important thing I think is to focus on the market as it's developing. Okay, so from a technical point of view, let me walk you through the dollar index. Okay, there are a few things that I'm looking at right now. First off is the seasonal data. Okay, so for the past 10 years, between 17 Sep to 3rd of October, there's a good 80% chance that the dollar is going to rally during this window. Okay, and combining that with this coming week, we have FOMC. Maybe if the Fed decides to, do a quick taper, the taper is going to happen in October, we might see the dollar continue to strengthen, right? And from a technical point of view, we do get this impulse correction, and we have broken off this impulse correction pattern as of last week. Okay, but that does not mean you're gonna buy in immediately on Monday, because this can easily develop into what we know as a crawl, and that would then suggest the dollar can still come back down. Okay, however, if let's say it's gonna develop as a flag all the way until FOMC, then there's a good chance the momentum will basically follow through, and we can see the dollar going back to its previous high around 93.7. Okay, so again, it really hinges on how the market is going to develop from a technical point of view, all the way building into FOMC, and then what's the actual FOMC news. Okay, so pay attention to that. The other one is gold, right? Kind of like also related, okay, because of the dollar and the equities market. Precious metal like gold is going to be affected too. Okay. So same thing over here, we are looking at seasonality between 3rd of Sep to 1st of Oct. For the past 10 years, there's a 90% chance gold tends to drop. And of course, we have seen that very, very nicely. Okay, we have been sharing a couple of videos talking about gold. And right now, because gold has already completed that move to the downside, okay, at this moment, we are seeing kind of like consolidation here. Okay, so there's a good chance we might see gold continue to fall, perhaps towards 1725 area, and if that is going to be broken, then we can continue to see it drop towards 1677. Okay, again, this hinges on what the Fed announcement is going to be, right? Are we going to see a strengthening of dollar, or are we going to see a weakening of dollar? Okay, so keep an eye on gold. I think next week is going to be very, very interesting as well. Okay. Now, going into equities market, we are seeing S&P continue to fall, right, as of last week. So with this momentum, likely what we're seeing is that, number one, investors and traders are probably profit-taking, exiting from the market, therefore pushing price lower. Number two, perhaps they're pricing in the probability that Fed is going to taper in October. Okay? Because generally, when the Fed starts tapering, it's shrinking its liquidity. And generally, when liquidity drops, equities market will correct and will drop as well. Okay, so looking at things here, I'm not going to be surprised if, let's say, we're going to see S&P fall lower towards this previous low, somewhere around 4350. Okay, but one thing I think is important for you guys to take note is that this does not mean that we're going to transit into a bear market immediately. Okay, because from where we are at this top to this bottom here is just about a 4% dip. Okay, it's a correction still. So unless of course we're gonna see a huge breakdown, okay, maybe when price starts to come back all the way. You know, a technical bear market is when the market drops by like 15 to 20%, right? So even if we take it all the way back to this previous low, that dip is only about 11%. Okay, yes, it's a pretty big correction, but we still, from a technical point of view, it's still not a bear market. Okay, now from our macro model, we are still not seeing a bear market transition. Okay, in other words, I'm still pretty confident in the market in the upside, I would say. Okay, but that does not constitute to like immediately buying in for every dip. Okay, you definitely need to have a strategy and time the market a little bit. But for me, there's no need for us to like overly panic and sell off everything. Okay, in fact, from the macro model, this correction, this dip might present some decent opportunity. Okay, of course you need to do your proper selection and filtering to enter for some buy potential. Okay, so that's something I would like to just highlight on. Okay, last one here to keep you guys updated on Bitcoin. Okay, so as of now, we do see a little bit of a bounce, and Bitcoin is basically doing a little flag, a correction over here, which suggests there's a good chance this can go up. But I'm not very convinced with the pattern I'm seeing right now, okay? Because this can easily convert and develop into kind of like a crawl pattern as well, and this can then fall back towards 43800, forming kind of like maybe a double bottom before the final push back up. Okay, very likely we're gonna see Bitcoin perhaps consolidate and form a range between 53090 and of course 43800 for some time. Okay, because most of the time after a market push off like that, it needs some time to consolidate before the next move. Okay, so just be very patient on the crypto side. Generally, if Bitcoin are consolidating, it's not really moving a lot, then most of the other coins are probably just gonna follow suit. Okay, now I do have a small portion of my portfolio in the crypto market. Okay, but for me right now, it's still a very speculative asset. Okay, it can boom anytime, it can go bust anytime. Just be aware of that and never go all in into the crypto environment. Okay, I mean, if you have a portfolio today, do allocate a little bit. I think that's gonna be you know, crypto is probably gonna stay, so do allocate a little bit. But you still do not want to be overly reliant on, or I would say you do not want to be overweight on crypto, okay, because it's a very, very volatile market and it's still very speculative. Okay, so I hope today's this video here, while it's a little bit lengthy, did give you a good picture about what has happened in the past week and what are some of the things that you want to look out for moving forward. Okay, so again, if you enjoy and you benefited from such weekly videos over here, would really appreciate if you can give it a thumbs up. And if you have yet to subscribe to the channel, make sure you do that, because we do release content and video regularly in our channel. And if you're subscribed, right, you'll be notified whenever a video goes up. Okay, so with that, all the best to your trading and investing for the week, and I'll see you guys in the next episode again.